make me the purifying flame that burns these infidels!
It's time to relive the conquest of the Americas as we step into the new world to battle huge armies and the occasional crashes. A unique perspective that lets you experience the colonization of a continent from the eyes of Native Americans defending their lands, as well as the various flavors of European imperialism. All worth it to play one of the only RTS games where you have a borrowing Ninja Turtle assassin who can stab the British. No Man's Land Fight for Your Rights, a forgotten relic of the early 2000s, when the quit button was called Exit Program. Made 20 years ago somewhere in Germany by Related Designs, were later on bought by Ubisoft and became Blue Byte. They went on to make some of the greatest RTS games out there, including the Settlers and Anno series, as well as other hits such as Far Cry 6 and of course, Jimmy Connor's Pro Tennis Tour.
15 Love.
The action focuses on 6 factions fighting for control of the New World. The conquest of the Americas will have you defend your land as the Iroquois, trying to push back the tide of invaders. The Spanish want to secure new sources of gold to bring home while killing everyone else. The English are pretty much the same, except they also try to persuade the locals to join the workforce in the New World Internship program. The American Patriots battling the English in the Independence War, and finally the colonization of the American frontier, where the second faction of natives, the Cheyenne of the Great Plains, try to stop the settlers from cutting through the Wild West with their expanding railway empire. Overall, a swell time for everyone who lived back then. Now let's talk about the game. You won't find it on Steam, GOG, or any other market. I kept the original CD all these years, but there's still a copy floating somewhere around on abandonware. Now that you got the game, you start it up, and watch as the screen turns white and stays that way forever. Messing with the engine file lets us set our own resolution, and we must force the game to skip the intro cutscene, as all pre-rendered videos are in an old .big format that Windows doesn't want to accept anymore. There's also a widescreen fix from PC Game Wiki that will stop the game from looking squished, and now that the game starts, we finally reach the main menu. Ah, memories. Settings are quite barren, and the mouse cursor isn't locked to the game window, so it can escape to another monitor if you're running more than one. I used the arrow keys to move the camera to fix this, same problem as Age of Mythology Retold. Nothing changed in the RTS genre for 20 years apparently. The game will also bug out from time to time, randomly losing audio, but I think I only crashed 6 or 7 times over the course of me recording all the campaigns and some skirmish games. I think the graphics held up nicely overall, the buildings look decent, and they all share the same architectural style inside of a faction, so your base will always look nice and well put together. It's easy to distinguish them at a glance, regardless of their faction, and I like seeing the textures go up as they're being built. But you don't care about that. I know you clicked on this video to discuss the best gate design. We have the Spanish double doors that swing out, the English double doors that slide, the Cheyenne with no walls or gates at all, or the Iroquois, the single gate that lifts up, adorned with the symbol of something that looks like Jabba the Hutt. It's clear I have a preference for the ornate Jabba gate, but you let me know which one you think is the best. The unit models might have aged, but they still look unique. Take for example the Fat Man with the club, the Skull Shaman, or the Mighty Ninja Turtle. These are all native units, as most of the European factions have different flavors of man with gun. The train is also very dated and moves like a PS2 model. But on the other hand, the unit portraits are cursed and I love each and one of them. They range from the normal, to the goofy, to the insane. Let's talk about the music. The greatest thing about this game is the amazing soundtrack. Each faction gets 2 tracks, one for a peaceful ambient while you're building your base, and one for when you're throwing hands and the stabbing starts up again. I swear I've been listening to the entire thing on and off for the last 20 years, and it only makes me want to go back and replay the campaigns all over again. I probably always had a tab open somewhere with a playlist, and just listen to some of these tracks. But the music isn't only for enjoyment, it can also act as an early warning when the enemies are near you. So if you're quick, you can pull the workers or react fast enough with some troops, especially considering how small the minimap actually is on a modern monitor. The audio mixing is all over the place, some sound effects are pleasantly appropriate, while others are very loud. Take for example this humble wooden palisade gate. How do you think it should sound when a few swordsmen break down the simple gate? If you guessed 5 tons of TNT blowing up in multiple delayed explosions, you were right. Voice acting is also a mixed bag. Some of the lines are well delivered and remain burned into my mind to this day. But those are mostly unit lines. They're repetitive but memorable, like all the Spanish warships screaming every time you try to attack something, or the Iroquois spearman's battle screen. Killing any woman will unleash a Brahmin scream that will drown out all the gun and cannon fire for a second. But most of them were made in good fun, like Carvines screaming "hand over the gold," while shooting some poor native with dual silver ballers like Agent 47. Or the American cowboy and his nutsack.
I don't need no saddle, I just sit on my nutsack.
The accents, combined with the passionate over-the-top delivery, make for a fun experience, but the same cannot be said about longer dialogues in cutscenes. Depending on the campaign, this can range from amazingly good.
Where's the commanding officer who dared to allow a bunch of English freshwater pirates to sink a Spanish battleship?
Ni capitán. He buried under the rubble of his finger.
Lay down your gun, Harper.
Never! You and these heathen savages are the devil's servants! God, make me the purifying flame that burns these infidels!
To really bad.
I want to see every single one of these rabble-rousers hanged before the spark of rebellion spreads like wildfire.
Some lines feel so rushed, it's like they only had an hour to record everything on a Friday. What about gameplay, you ask? A classic RTS where you have to gather resources, build bases, train units, and kill your opponents before they do. The game has 3 resources: gold from the gold mines, food from farms, and wood from the forests. Just make sure there aren't any natives inside of them. Gold mines and farms can only be placed on gold deposits and fertile fields respectively, and they have a finite number of resources. After depletion, you get a small trickle of 1 gold per worker, so you can't turtle forever. You're encouraged to expand to look for more resource nodes. Wood, on the other hand, is plenty, and you can always trade the surplus if you need to. Food is also the main resource when it comes to your ability to pump out units, and with the cap of 5 villagers per farm, you really want to find and secure as many as possible. An enemy farm could also be depleted, or could still have 2000 food, if you took out the base and the workers fast enough. There is also a population limit, which caps at 125 for the campaigns, but you can bump it up to 150 when playing the various skirmish modes. It's more than enough, as you can clear the missions with 2 control groups of units most of the time. The units also tend to get stuck when moving together, and the default defensive mode means that 9 people will watch the 10th guy get shot to death. So aggressive stance is a must in this game, if you want your infantry to be effective. Hell, even normal. You also have the option to recruit both men and women as your workers. The men cost 60 food and have more HP and damage, but we don't need our workers to fight anyone. So the most economically sound strategy is to spam out women. They only cost 40 food, and have the same gather rate. This means that regardless of the faction you're playing, your entire economy will be built on the backs of an all-female workforce. At least we can't have a gender pay gap if we don't employ any men. Instead, we funnel the entire male population into unique combat roles such as dog, rifleman, or a battle rifleman, ready to march on the battlefield and eat cannon fire for breakfast. But enough of that, let's have a look at the campaigns. There's one for each faction, and they're the main draw of the game. Unless you have a time machine or a working GameSpy client. Time to conquer a continent. But first, it all starts with a tutorial, which is useful if you've never played an RTS before. There aren't any obscure mechanics you can't deduce on your own, but it does line up with the story campaign eventually. Learn how to select units, move them around, and attack. A bit of base building and resource gathering later. We liberate a mine occupied by the Spanish, only to return home and find out all our women were taken. There are 3 difficulty levels available: easy, normal, and difficult, and the only difference is the number of units the AI throws at you. The difficulty menu is also strangely bugged, so it only shows 2 options at a time, but if you try hard you can click the missing one. The first campaign has us playing as the Spanish, rightful owners of all the gold in the world, and excellent peacekeepers. Just ask our chief diplomat, Hernan, wouldn't hurt a fly, Cortes. Historians describe the expansion of the Spanish Empire as being motivated by gold, glory, and God. Everyone who lived at the time knew that the only way to climb the leaderboards was to shoot people who don't share your European good looks. The game wants us to start with a pre-rendered video, but as we've established in the start, we can't play those, so we're stuck watching this corner of the game until we restart. At which point the game is satisfied with us and lets us move on to the first mission. We can, however, watch all the cutscenes by digging the game's files to find the videos and open the appropriate one manually. It all starts with the Spanish galleon on the way to the Americas. And the man is plagued by visions of an awful war. Probably nothing, maybe something bad he ate on the ship. We arrive in the New World and get to meet our protagonist, Capitan Esteban Carvines, leader of the expedition and envoy of His Majesty, the King of Spain. We get a burning island colony and we get to work fixing it. Strangely enough, this is one of the 2 naval missions in the whole game. And rightfully so, as the Spanish ships are the best. After bombarding the English port, Sir Francis Drake will reveal himself and we can fight him. It's a bit of a boss fight, but he decides to delete his own ships to escape, and we continue on to the colony of Santa Mineta.
Indians! They've forced their way inside the town walls!
There's no end to it. Attention, men! Drive these savages back into the undergrowth! Jump to it!
We find the colony under attack by the local natives, and we have a handful of units to defeat the invaders. Luckily, one of them is our first hero, Esteban, hand over the gold, Carvines. We kill the Indian who brought the bow to a gunfight, and get our second hero, the Governor Mendoza. From him, we find out about something that's stirring up the natives, something our own colonists call the animal demon.
Strange animal demons got something to do with these.
Is this somehow connected to the visions we've had on the boat? Is there anything supernatural going on here? We wait until daybreak to explore the forest in order to track him down. Immediately, as we leave, we are ambushed by wolves. Surely just hungry animals, there are no such things as demons. We do, however, find our own men trapped in cages adorned with a strange symbol on the gate. Are these sacrifices for the animal demon? We break down a simple wooden palisade gate, as strange sounds echo in the forest. When we finally bring it down, it sounds like a munition depot exploding. Whoever locked up our men knows we've liberated his sacrifices. Down the path, we fight through Indians and bears, until we reach a clearing where you can see a shaman summoning a wolf from thin air. We reach a totem with an unnatural energy emanating from it. The forest seems darker here, and the animal demon is revealed, as it summons a legion of wolves. We burn his unholy edifice and kill him, before moving on to the north in search of our old gold mines. In the next mission, we meet Padre Rodrigo, an abbot who tells us about ghosts that chased away the workers from the nearby mining camp. Ghosts are not real, but considering what we've seen so far, I'm not so sure anymore. We move on, and it's not too long before the specters show themselves. Luckily, our good father can banish them back into the earth. Wait, if ghosts are real and he can banish them, does that mean that God is real? It's clear the priest has powers and his prayers can hurt the ghosts, and he even levels up from killing them, so we can assume God is real in this game. Let's give him a title card too then. Esteban doesn't seem to care that he just witnessed the undead roaming the earth.
Great, you banished the ghosts, Padre. Now we can set about getting this camp up and running again.
And we find the abandoned camp. It can be fixed up, but the walls will remain broken. Ghosts and the natives continue to attack us from the surrounding forest. We get the entire tech tree unlocked at this point, all the infantry units, the armory with cannons, and the stables. The church is an amazing tool to heal up our units after each battle, and I somehow managed to place my barracks in such a way that my units are stuck behind the wall. Even if you set a rally point, they still exit the building using the gate, so watch out where you place it. When ready, it's time to use European tactics here. Use firing lines of conquistadors and cannons to overpower the natives and stack them in a neat pile of bodies. Just watch out for your heroes. If they die, we lose the game. And once it's clear, we get the ending cutscene where everything is blowing up for some reason. I swear this is all a front for an underground weapons factory or something.
Good work, men. We've sent the pack of Indians running, but I'm just stuck.
With the mine secure, we find Umak, a native who wants to join forces with us against the English. We'll help him rescue his captured women, and he'll show us the location of other gold mines, the idea of which tickles Esteban just the way he likes it. We can finally build walls, and I really like this system, so let's talk about walls. All walls are fully enclosed squares. You can pick any size you want, and then you can move it around until you find the perfect spot. For me, that was right here to block the enemies from reaching this valley. Workers can build on the same wall segment, and the walls will continue on their own, meaning it can cross forests where our units cannot enter without any problems. You can place as many gates as you want, and they are yours to open and close manually. If there are enemy units inside your fort, it will then become neutral, and the surviving faction will capture the walls afterwards. In this mission, we also get our first cavalry unit. Double-click somewhere, and the lightning bolt of a horse will cover the entire map in 5 seconds. But horses are weird. Your units can mount and dismount them at will, and you can even capture enemy horses if you've killed the rider. Just watch out, if you're not fast, the horse dies of cardiac arrest in 15 seconds without a rider. I blame the animal demon, to be honest. Overall, I'm not a fan of cavalry in this game. The rider has a bigger hitbox, and it's easier to focus down. And you'll never see me waste 200 food on a horse when I can buy more riflemen with those resources. With enough of the overpowered cannons, the base is cleared, and we move on to the secret British island, where the gold is hidden. The island has 2 missions. The first one can be done in 5 minutes, as you just sneak around the place with Esteban and Umak, trying to rescue all the women working the farms. Just ignore the guards and find all 5 farms to win. And the last mission of the campaign starts with the most stupid charge I've ever seen. What do the big brains of the Spanish Empire do in the face of this impregnable fortress? This bastion of cannon fire? This bulwark of imperialism? They charge in and hope they're not followed inland, and that at least one worker survives. I guess if God is real, you can pull off this Normandy-style landing in 1596. Once we have a base, the only way to fight cannons is with other cannons, so this is a slow crawl, using the artillery pieces to clear out everything until we reach the base. Mendoza was a suicidal bastard and lost me the mission a few times. Just look at him, where are you going? Eventually I break the front of the base, and inside we find Drake randomly chilling next to his gold. I kill him and we've won. I was getting ready to clear out the whole map, but this works as well. The Spanish celebrate, and Esteban returns home with the gold, happy to leave this land of ghosts and demons behind. Overall, it feels like the characters were alright in the start, but started getting flat by the end. Carvines becomes a gold-obsessed wet noodle, and the other heroes just disappear along the way. Umak is just a tool to progress the plot, and nothing more. Some missions are way too short and they don't have anything new or interesting to add after the middle point where you've unlocked everything. Still, I enjoyed the supernatural aspect from the first few missions. 3 out of 5 galleons. Speaking of ghosts and demons, the Iroquois are next. One of the most unique and fun factions to play in this game. It's time to commune with nature and the spirits, protecting the land and living in peace. Of course, the campaign starts with a genocide. The only survivors are 2 brothers, Magua and Tegliha, who escape the English and argue on how to proceed.
You always were a coward, Magua. Do you want to skulk away again? What do you think anything else will achieve? If we attack tonight, then at least a few of us will die a hero's death.
We are the last of our tribe, Tegliha. The old chieftain would not have wanted us to throw our lives away for nothing if we survive.
Magua is the eldest, so his choice of living to fight another day is the way to go. We'll now sneak around the map, trying to find more of our people to save. The Iroquois might not have cannons like in Age of Empires 3, but they are the only ones who can pass through forests and swim, giving them a huge degree of mobility. Just watch out for sharks. We sneak past patrols and witness the cruelty of the English firsthand, as not even women are safe from them. With our great numbers, we can now push through the enemy camp and escape to the mountains. In the next mission, you build up a camp and a war party large enough to take out the 2 English bases. It's strange how we never fight the Spanish as the natives in this campaign. The clubman is an excellent front line, but I miss the cannons, to be honest. We don't have the fire arrows upgrade yet, so any building, gate or tower we face is going to be a slow fight. We do argue with our brother on who should be the next chieftain, and I agree to pass the ancient trials.
Only Master Warpee, the old medicine man, can decide. If you survive his trials, I will follow you wherever you go, even in death. But if you fail, I myself will undergo the ordeal.
That won't be necessary. I will not disappoint our tribe. Before you stands the new chieftain.
Not as long as Tegliha's still alive. Weakling!
The Trials of the Ancestors is a fun short mission. We get on a canoe and move on to the start of the path. But what's this? Tegliha's warriors are ambushing us. Betrayal! Honestly, you could see this coming from a mile away. Based on his tone and the accusations,
Weakling!
I'm not shocked at all. We leave the canoe and dive to escape our attackers. On land, we have to run from a large party of spearmen, and the ghosts are on our side for once. At the first totem, we use the spirits of a wolf pack to deal with our attackers, then finish them off one by one, getting the respect of the wolf spirit.
You are strong, Magua, and fearless. The children of the wood regard you as our pack leader.
We can now summon him, and the large green swirling aura around him is not rabies or plague, but a damage boost to all nearby units. We can use this to overpower the bear spirit, who grants increased HP, and approaching the final totem will cause the bodies of the ancestors to rise up and walk again. The only way to survive is to rush to the summit, where we can finish the trial and become the chieftain of our tribe.
Would have wanted it this way. Quiet. Don't make any sound.
Our brother still won't follow us, despite everything, and vows to fight against us like a little bitch. This is exactly the kind of family squabbles you don't want to have when staring down the barrel of the European invasion. But what do I know? That means that the next mission will finally fight another faction. Perhaps an Indian-English 2-on-1 fight? Nope, we already find him dead. Take over his village to fight the British again. A fitting end for a coward, and despite his constant threats and treachery, Magua wants to avenge him. In this mission, we can research a very powerful upgrade in the Spirit Hut that allows us to regenerate our HP passively, without a church, medicine man, or anything else. We also get the Rifleman, who's our perfect counter to any units the enemy can throw at us. Assemble a large army and use the forest to sneak into the enemy base to burn it down. It's also quite important to leave the hero at home, but taking the animal spirits with us to buff everyone up. The last mission will unlock the last unit we've been missing. The Ninja Turtle Assassin Madman. These boys can defend an entire choke point on their own. They can burrow down and camouflage, shanking anyone who passes above them. Dogs, sniff them out, shank the dogs. Infantry, shank them too. I don't have the footage, but I'm pretty sure they also shank the horse once. The enemy has multiple bases. I tackled the southern base first. It's not so bad, except for the one single ship that gets into our base and breaks everything, and I do mean everything. Look at the destruction. The only way to win is to kite the ship with a warrior while the rest deal with it. It would have been game over if they had sent 2 ships at the same time. We do get walls, towers and gates, but there aren't any good spots to put them in, and they do nothing against an enemy with cannons. Why not start our own navy, you may ask? Because we can only build canoes, and those can carry a single unit. They're pitiful at best. Eventually we take out enough bases, expand to mine out their resources, and then we can meet him, the scariest hero, the beefcake English blacksmith, who can't find the shirt that fits his huge muscles. Anything he puts on he rips instantly. This bad boy has an AoE spin that puts big numbers on my screen and breaks the backs of those poor natives. This whole campaign has been a breeze, except the final red base, which had so many cannons that my units couldn't keep up. After making a hole in the wall, more of their gunners would come pouring out, and there was nothing to do about it, except throw bodies at the problem until it goes away. This campaign felt too short, and the characters weren't used at all. Magua either won't fight the white man, or he'll kill them all after his brother's death.
Must not be to no avail. We will smash palefaces wherever we find them.
Tegleha was angry and jealous of his brother all the time, and he doesn't do much else.
You always were a coward, Magua. Do you want to skulk away again, Magua? You coward! I will not pledge allegiance to you. No one who is with me will recognize you as their new chieftain. Weakling!
And then he just dies. The most interesting and diverse faction, but without a strong mission set to support it. 4 out of 5 Spirits of the Ancestors. The English. Britannia. Let's see what makes us so bloodthirsty that we're the main villain in not 1, but 3 campaigns. This one starts with a naval battle with the Spanish. Sadly, one that we've lost. Once we make landfall, we meet our 2 heroes, Jeremiah Sanders, a trapper hunter who wears a bearskin hat in the Caribbean heat, and Aaron Harper, a reverend who can only talk about God in every sentence. Makes sense considering he's real.
Somewhere around here, an important Spanish port.
May the Lord punish them for killing our people and stand by us in our hour of need.
We build up a base on an island without any food, and we have to use our limited resources to build a navy. This is the second and last naval mission of the whole game, and it's really well done. They want you to expand to other islands to acquire more resources, and food can only be found by fishing on contested waters. I mentioned in the Spanish section that the English have the worst battleships, and it shows. A galleon can almost take out a ship in a 4v1 fight. Pushing slowly and repairing the damaged ships lets us clear a path to the enemy docks and win the mission.
Fire the cannon!
Next up is a stealth mission, and we actually have a choice to make. We have to traverse a fortified strait, and we have to pick between the eastern or western islands to unload a small squad of units. Our objective is to navigate the Spanish town and destroy the port to capture some proper warships. Jeremiah can scout ahead with his reveal powers, letting us have an idea of the path we need to take, and Aaron can heal our units. The only problem is that he starts with no energy. This man with a total of 950 max energy to heal himself or others starts with none. So you either wait 5 minutes so you can heal people or you just wing it.
Weakling!
Jeremiah, on the other hand, is great because he graduated from the London College of Shanking. For 60 energy he can pull out a knife and end someone on the street. Just look at his technique. We reach the docks in the end and oh boy, it has a lot of HP. Slowly whittling away at it, we're constantly bombarded by attack waves. And our men are quite hurt because someone can't heal properly. But the dock goes down and we take the ships to clear out the corridor so the Mayflower can pass and reach the New World.
The coast is clear. Let's get away from here.
The Lord will guide us.
We've finally reached the promised place, but we need food to survive the winter. The very first thing we do in this new land is to shoot a farm. Naturally, this makes the locals upset that we've taken their fruits, and we have a war on our hands. We raise a small army and proceed to kill everyone from the village. The villagers and few warriors don't stand a chance against our firepower. You really know you're one of the good guys when you hear the dialogue of the Dragoon.
Prepare to die! Impale them! Down with them!
Our objective is to convert the remaining 2 tribes to Christianity, so we bring the Reverend to the totem pole.
I need the house of God, so I can proclaim the word of God to these savages.
And I forgot to build a church. No problem, 1 quick church, and now we have them. The southern tribe faces the same fate, and now we have some friends who can give us some food. Only Lalakas of the Pequot tribe cannot be converted, because he actually saw us steal the food and commit war crimes. It's at this point where we can see Sanders start to develop a moral compass, while Harper starts to slip more and more into zealotry.
Many of the savages have paid with their lives. I'd have preferred to find our food without violent confrontation.
Don't reproach yourself on that account, Jeremiah. God himself has allotted us these gifts.
This next mission is one of my favorites. The Indians, threatened by the White Father, with eternal punishment from God, refuse to give us more food. Harper starts killing them, and we're now pulled into another conflict with more tribes. We have a small fort, and all of our resources are on the outside, except food. That one is so outside it's inside the enemy base actually. This was the first time I felt like I needed to close my gates and retreat behind them. And with the limited resources we make a small army of the most elite units and cannons to attack the natives. One by one we take down the tribes and steal the ox carts with food to bring home. This cruelty has gone too far, and the Reverend is mad with power. Jeremiah has enough of this, and we split from the main force. I want to mention that the game also likes to crash once in a while. When you hear this horrible sound as some voice line or sound effect gets stuck and plays on repeat, it's time to save the game and restart it. No progress is lost this way, so can we really call it a bug? Yes we can, because if it happens in a cutscene you can't save, and you lose all the progress until the last save game that you've made. No autosaves, so get used to pressing F1 from time to time. And the final mission. We side with the natives and vow to protect them from the redcoats. We have ample time to build up a force and attack the invaders. Once the main group is dead, the Pequot will join us, and we can mix and match English and native units. We also get Walter the blacksmith, who can buff everyone to high heaven. The final fort we have to attack is still best tackled with a cannon attack. But if you want a tip from me, make a spectre using the shaman, and send it all the way inside the enemy base. They can't fight it, and without a priest to dispel it, they can't do much. Once you reach the outer cliff next to the town center, you've won. Funny how you can use the Spectre in the English campaign, but not in the Iroquois one. With Harper cornered, he makes his choice, delivers some of the most passionate and funny line from the whole game.
Never! You and these heathen savages are the devil's servants! God, make me the purifying flame that burns these infidels! Lord, have mercy on my soul.
And the hatchet is buried. This one also felt short, but the mission design was better and the constraints were a welcome challenge to overcome. The characters were interesting, and you could feel Harper become more and more fanatic with each cutscene. 5 out of 5 Walters. The winds blow again, carrying the voices of the spirits across the Great Plains. The prairie is filled with palefaces and cursed-looking buffalo. Holy hell, they look like some old communist toys. Like this rat that hides a booze bottle. The opening cutscene has the scariest-looking man experience the same visions as Esteban. Are these connected? Is war a constant threat? And is the new world trying to warn everyone except the English of what's going to happen? Are the English destined to conquer the continent and invent Burger King? We're now playing as Grasswing, and we must hunt the great buffalo to feed our tribe. This is a short mission that introduces the faction to us. We can use the hunters to gather meat, everyone can ride a horse, and their nomadic lifestyle means we can pack up any building and redeploy it somewhere else. We have to gather 1,500 food before the enemy kills 20 buffalo, but the enemy seems more interested in hunting me. With a small group of units, you can easily take them out, and as much bison as you need. The sad part comes at the end, where the Texas fat man who keeps making bison burgers captures the old chief, and it's time to rescue Flying Star.
How can you own the land? This is the land of our fathers. The ground on which you stand is holy to my people. It's palefaces like you who have no right to be here.
You think so, do you, Redskin? You're a real funny one, man. Kill him. All but the old chieftain. He'll come with us.
We get to the town where the chieftain is held, and this is another 5-minute mission where we have to navigate the winding streets. For some reason, the settlers screaming and getting out of the way don't have any voice actors.
Let's go. The Great Spirit guides my steps.
so it's either bugged or they ran out of money. Fight through cowboys, dogs and cavalrymen to reach the sheriff. Demote him to dead civilian and we can escape with the chief, but not before John Texas has the old man killed.
Father! No!
With the chief dead, we have to clear out the palefaces from the sacred place. After a short canoe trip under a hail of bullets, we reach the shore and build up a proper base. The enemy outlaws do a lot of damage. I can see now how the Indians lost this fight. But we spirit on as we attack the camp on top of the sacred mountain. Once the land is clear again, we'll get a cutscene and holy shit! It is the spirit of Flying Star. He looks so cool in Undeath. I swear you could hide him in a Heroes Tree Necropolis roster and no one would bat an eye. We get our next quest from him. Unite the tribes and destroy the train depots maintaining the Iron Horse.
Father, what should I do? Please advise me, great chieftain.
You must bring the children of the prairie under your command. We can only beat the white man if we join forces.
I thought this was going to be in the next mission, but apparently we're doing it now. Go down the hill to get a new ally and a base, and attack the Americans. This goes well until the second depot, where an unending stream of enemies marches on the tracks. Eventually, I break through and take the last objective. But beware the palefaces. Their magic is strong. Their soldiers can turn 4 control groups worth of units into 1. The tribes are now united. Personally, I like the dudes with the wolf hats, and together we fight the American expansion. But what's this? Our ally to the south is under attack. We speed over on our horses and help defeat the attack wave from the single clan that decided to join forces with the enemy. We then get a base and free reign to build up a force and take out their camp. Funnily enough, I was the one who kept hunting the bison to extinction. I think I might be worse for the environment than the colonists, but no one seems to mind. These Indians might not have walls, but they can build a camouflaged watchtower to scout the land. It's not that good. I'd rather have the walls, to be honest. This is also the first mission where we have AI allies on the map, and seeing how they mass their troops in the back of the base, I'm happy we don't have to do business with them more often. They won't ever attack, so they're all glorified winning conditions, as we have to keep them alive. With enough troops, or what I thought was enough, we march on the enemy. When things take a turn for the worse, I decide the best course of action is to just rush their main base and burn it down. Instant win. Now it's time for our revenge on Star. With everything unlocked, we build up a base and hunt the bison to extinction again. The enemy will send occasional canoe attacks, but this large mass of water is just a puddle, so making a navy is just a waste of time and resources. Once we amass a large enough force, I push in the last remnant of the enemy tribe, but the cowards escape to the American base. Now it's time to bust down a very well defended fort, and we do so without any issues. The last base is a huge town, a maze of towers, houses, depots, and saloons pumping out enemies. The game has plenty of quirks, and you would think fire would burn down a building, but it seems that the flames are actually repairing it. With plenty of sacrifices made to distract the cannons, I take out the final enemy buildings and win. This was actually a lot of fun, and with the old chief avenged, Grasswings performs the traditional breakdance of sorrow. Overall fun, but harder than the other campaigns so far. We didn't get any closure as Star got away, but at least the characters were alright. Too bad you can lose the game super fast if your heroes die, so you just end up keeping them in the back of the base. Old Wolf Hat here could have been an asset in the fight. You can call down the meteor to almost kill a unit, or a giant spirit storm to almost destroy a simple tent. 5 out of 5 totems. Grab your powdered wigs and mount your bayonets, it's time to fight an empire. And we open the Patriots campaign with the British annoying everyone again. Can't a man farm his sand in peace? The best way to start a mission is with a party. So, dearly beloved, We're all gathered here at the wedding of Madeleine and Samuel Sanders, descendant of Jeremiah. It doesn't take long for the British to attack us and scare away the goofy-looking priest.
The Redcoats! The Redcoats are coming!
May the Lord protect us.
We have to make sure our heroes survive, so I'm not sure why they gave me this lady without any weapons or abilities. About 150 years passed since the Mayflower made landfall in 1620, and yet the Brits haven't advanced technologically at all since then. Not that we're at an advantage, mind you. We can only train a single unit that's kind of weak. Good thing Sanders can blow up buildings with dynamite, and that's how we take out the enemy HQ and move on to the next mission. Our new wife is a spy working undercover in the Lord's town, and we learn from her that the English are preparing to attack us. We also meet the French general, Frédéric, and considering how little the French want to help us, we'll have to ally ourselves with the Iroquois against the British. Hell, we have an entire campaign that shows us how much they hate each other. The wolves are way too strong for some reason, and our doctor started without energy again. But one crawled through the forest later and we reached the camp, and it's Magua! How are ya, buddy? Wait a second, something doesn't add up. While it's hard to pinpoint when the Iroquois campaign takes place, because we don't have any people or place names, from the way Magua is speaking, the white man is a new addition to the land, meaning his campaign isn't during the Revolutionary War, as the Iroquois have been collaborating with the other European nations before that. He talks about the place where the palefaces made their settlements, and how he'll force them back into the sea. He's also not referring to the British as English or Redcoats, to discern them from the Dutch, Spanish or the French. We can then assume that the settlement we've destroyed in the last mission was Roanoke, the first English colony in America. Founded in 1585, it was found abandoned 5 years later, and no one knows what happened to the colonists. That's because Magua cleared it out. Back to the Patriots campaign, Magua allied the Patriots in the Revolutionary War that started in 1775, meaning he's over 200 years old at this point. It can only mean one thing. He's the real animal demon, and everything that's been happening is his master plot to get revenge on the English for the death of his brother. Putting our tinfoil hats aside for now, we start a base of our own to train a group of militia in order to liberate the Mohicans from British influence. Take out the Pilgrim Father, converting them at both camps, and they'll stop attacking us. They're not grateful enough to help us, of course, but at least we get peace. Actually, I would have preferred to kill them for the farms. Our task is to destroy the English fort, and it's hard with a single unit and no cannons. So we're back to making archers who can burn down buildings. Takes a few groups, but we manage to sneak in their base and take it out eventually. Another no-build mission has us trying to infiltrate a town to get rid of the newly arrived ships with reinforcements. Yet again, the biggest problem is the wildlife, as bears are killing us. For some reason, when I attack with a control group of units, only the militia attack while everyone else watches as my people get mauled. Probably because the militia can gather food from animals, and they think this is a hunting trip or something. We get in the town, kill a few civilians, before Sanders goes full Red Alert 2, and gets in the water to blow up the ships with dynamite, Tanya style.
That'll be done in no time. A great idea. That's no trouble at all.
Which leads us to our first and only defense mission of the whole game. Abandon the farm and pull everyone back to the fort. I use the big brain tactic of just filling my towers with cannons, and for the most part it goes very well. We just have to target the enemy cannons before they can take down the towers. We have to defend for 20 minutes and there are 5 or 6 attacks in total, so there's plenty of downtime. Once things get dicey, I pull back to the inner fort before McBride shows up with his elite guard. They're smart enough to eat a diet with plenty of iron from my cannonballs, and we thin them out so hard McBride decides to charge us alone. It's not long before he goes down as well, and we win the mission, determined to gain our freedom with one final assault on the last British town. Again, there isn't anything new we haven't seen before in this mission. Oh, I take that back, we have a flag bearer, so useful. You know the drill. Build an army, some cannons, clear out the 2 forward camps, and the final base. The objective is to bring a flag bearer here, but he died at some point, so not only did I bring a new flag bearer, but I also built a monument to commemorate the victory. We hand over Lord Dunmore to the natives, and we get back to our wedding.
You're not going to hand me to these savages, are you?
Stop whimpering, you coward! Magua hasn't laid a finger on anyone yet.
And God, I miss having normal characters. Everyone from this campaign is so hollow. Just listen to the main villain.
Delightful, your maid.
Yes, she is delightful, isn't she? I only employed the little sweethearts the day before last. A cute little thing.
Indeed. Almost a little too cute to be a maid.
I'm not here to discuss the advantages of my staff with you.
Strangely, Magua is better than he was in his own campaign, but the Patriots faction feels lacking. You unlock the best toys at the end, and there isn't much time to play with them. This might be my least favorite campaign, and they just feel like a reskin of the British, but in blue. 1 out of 5 doctors without mana. Time for the final campaign, the Settlers. Put on your favorite poncho and scrunch up your face, because we're going to the Wild West, partner. Our protagonist is William Sanders. This whole third campaign feels like nepotism already, but what can you do? We arrive on the 5 o'clock Iron Horse and meet up with the residents of this here town. And would you look at that, Mr. Star is also kicking around.
Billy Sanders, who inherited the abandoned land from that old grouch.
Allow me to introduce Mr. Henry Starr, one of Buffalo City's most respected citizens. He played a big part in establishing the railroad in these parts. For a long time, the two of them were bitter rivals.
We get to our ranch and find out it's been taken over by some bandits. So we form this here posse and remove those good-for-nothing varmints and recapture the ranch. The only units we can train, namely the cowboy and the outlaw, come from the saloon, so I'm pretty sure this entire campaign is going to be one giant bar fight between alcoholics. We even find the graveyard where our old Uncle George was buried. I gather up enough outlaws to question whether I'm the real bandit or not, and start attacking their camp. I didn't expect such a strong resistance, and I was sweating bullets trying to keep my cannons alive. Eventually, we overpowered them, and once the HQ is down, we won. Apparently Henry Starr hired these thugs to kill us. I knew he was still a piece of shit.
Comes that greenhorn manages to show you what's what. That puppy is just as irksome as his stubborn old uncle. He better watch he doesn't end up the same way.
Our company wants us to expand, so that's what we're going to do. I set up an economy and go out in search for the nearby fort, where, with the hardest persuasion check, I managed to convince the local general to give me his entire army.
Colonel, I thoroughly understand your position, but without the army's support, my plans are doomed to failure from the start.
Okay, you'll get your chance.
Leaving the fort defenseless and eventually overrun by the natives. I build a few more training tents and muster a proper army of infantrymen. I channel my inner English and wipe out the Sioux tribe in the name of delivering newspapers faster. With the natives dealt with, I start the slow process of building the railroad, one track at a time. I've been using this wounded lady to build the entire thing from start to finish. Natives will spawn out of thin air and attack the tracks, but this shouldn't be too hard to defend. Why are my tracks exploding like we've built a crate of dynamite under each sleeper? Once the line is complete, we're congratulated by the mayor.
A warm welcome to Desert County. Everyone here thought your plan was crazy, but now you've actually done it.
The Indians, not too happy about the train running past their tents at night, are attacking Desert County daily. So it's a race between me and Henry Starr to gather enough money to hire a bounty hunter to deal with the enemy chieftain. An easy task, use the current troops to defend the town and secure the gold mines close to the tracks. Eventually, a 10-minute timer will start before Henry will have enough gold. But with 2 mines and some trading action, we get 3000 gold in no time. Usually, a mechanic you see in skirmish and multiplayer games, hiring a bounty hunter lets you mark a specific enemy hero for death. Once we confirm the target, our invulnerable Spanish friend here will seek out and stab them automatically, winning us the game in little under 10 minutes.
Mr. Starr, at the moment, I'm toying with the idea of allowing Mr. Sanders' company to build the entire stretch to South Hill.
You can't be serious. That contract was supposed to be mine.
I don't like your tone at all, Mr. Starr. But you'll both get your chance to prove your ability. I'll think of something.
Our company is close to getting another contract, and judging by the size of Starr's beer gut, he won't take this loss easily. So another contest begins. The first one to complete the rail to Buffalo City wins. We have no workers, and we set off to find some old miners willing to do anything for a few bucks. We find them in the captivity of Grasswind, who decides to trust us after we reveal we're not friends of Star. Back home, we rush an economy and military tents. The mayor said he wanted a clean fight, so naturally I send my people over to his tracks in order to halt any and all progress. Once we get a large army, we can clear out the nearby native village blocking our path. I swear these horses are Sioux spies and need to be taken out. With the natives relocated underground, I move my entire army to turn Star's railroad into dust, while finishing the last few tracks. We're done, and Star gets killed by Grasswing randomly. I wish this campaign was longer. The pacing was really nice and the starter units are fun to play with. The varied objectives were also a breath of fresh air from the usual destroy the enemy base ones. Star and William aren't much to talk about, and they would have benefited from a few extra missions. Strangely enough, William is a unique version of the Undertaker hero, who can effectively rob the dead for some cash. Oh, if your grandfather Jeremiah would see what you've become. 5 out of 5 railway tracks. If you still want some action after the campaigns, the Skirmish mode offers a few fun game modes you can try out. From the usual Deathmatch, King of the Hill and Domination game modes, we also have some centered around building and defending railways. Some quality of life features I've been missing in no particular order are the ability to only select military units and to exclude the workers. Some hotkeys don't work, so you'll have to press the buttons on the small HUD. And speaking of the HUD, a way to scale it would have been great. But even without these, I managed to have a fun time, and I hope you will too. This is how I break away from the trance of playing this game once every few years. The visions of bad pathing subside as I remember the good times, and the soundtrack will still ring the halls of my home for as long as I live. Considering how old this is, we have no hope of a sequel or a remaster in this lifetime, but it was fun to experience it again with you all. Let me know down below what's your favorite obscure RTS from the past. I'm off to barricade my windows before the animal demon finds me. Stay safe.